the question we often ask ourselves, right, what we want to know is, do I matter? Right? Am I right on that? Do I count? Is what I'm living for, or what I'm living about, what I'm doing in my life, does it mean anything? And when we look at the different things in life to kind of find validation in that and get the answer to this question of, do I count? And as I thought about it this week, it reminded me of when I was a kid. And we had some neighbors who had some nieces and nephews who every once in a while would come visit them. And they were about our same age. They were a little younger. And when they would come, all us kids, we'd go out to the backyard. And we just have a game of kickball, right? That's what I found something after school program with the kids just don't play kickball. That's what we did when we played kickball. And we'd have a good time, except for the one kid, one boy, he was significantly younger than the rest of us. And he wasn't quite able to play kickball well. But he would want to play. So we would let him play kickball with us, with one caveat. When he would get up, we'd all yell, "He's DC, he's DC," meaning he doesn't count. And so, no matter what he would do, he would kick the ball. He would go box. He didn't know what DC meant, right? He'd kick the ball and then usually end up getting 1 or 2 or 3 outs for his team, right? But it didn't matter because we knew it's irrelevant to the game. It didn't count. And that worked for a while. Kids are smart. And they figure things out. And he eventually realized, hey, no matter what I do, they don't care. He's like, I don't matter in this game. I don't count. And that made him angry. And he would come to us and he would argue and he would fight and cause problems and usually end up ruining our time together. Because everyone wants to count, right? We want to matter. We all want to know that what we are doing, how we are living, it's got to matter. So the question remains in our lives, what in my life matters? Do we matter? Do we count? You know, when we ask that question, when we look to the world in a whole bunch of different places for the answer to that question, right? Do I matter? Do I count? Often, sometimes, though, we start to think, God, do I count? And we ask the big guy. Unfortunately for us, he's not silent on this. You know, his word contains many places where he talks about us, about how we count and do we count. And what about us counts? What matters? In fact, in concluding his letter to the Galatians 2,000 years ago, Paul writes about this subject. See, he had written a lot of stuff to the Galatians. We looked at a lot of it this summer if you were able to be with us. But as he closed his letter, it seems he wanted to make sure the people were very clear. They understood this, that at the end of everything, beyond everything else, this is what matters. This is what counts. And he's going to tell us what this is. And he tells us in chapter 6, verse 15, later if you want to hit the space bar there, he says, neither circumcision nor uncircumcision means anything. What counts is the new creation. So he says, so in the Apostle Paul writes, do we count? Yeah, we count. Well, what? How? How do we count? Well, he's going to tell us. He actually tells us here. But before we look at what he says, what counts, let's look at what he says doesn't count. Because there's a lot in this life, right, that people will tell us counts, or we think it counts, and we get all caught up in it, and it just doesn't matter. And so he tells us here, right, he says, neither circumcision nor uncircumcision means anything. All right, so that's what doesn't count. Now, what's he talking about here? Oh, an uncomfortable silence settles upon the congregation. I'm not going to go into details, I'm going to keep it G-rated. Suffice it to say that what Paul is referring to is something that is written in the Old Testament law. And it's the Old Testament law. It says there, hey, if you're going to try to get to God's acceptance, you're going to please God by following the law and doing all the right things, you have to be circumcised. Well, Paul here says, hey, that doesn't mean anything anymore. And his argument that he's been making, if you were able to be with us all throughout Galatians, is the fact that Jesus Christ has come, he has lived up to, he has followed all of the law for us because we couldn't do it for ourselves. We couldn't do it. And he has done it for us, so none of that stuff matters when it comes to God's acceptance. You can't get there. See, we can do it or we can not do it. It doesn't mean anything. Right here it says it doesn't matter. It doesn't count. So you can try to gain God's acceptance by doing the things, by doing whatever you think it pleases him, and circumcision, uncircumcision, whatever. But Paul here says it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't count. It's not going to get you to God. It's not going to get you to eternal life. It's not going to get you to salvation because it doesn't count toward anything. Not yet, at least. See, it's like, I thought about this week, it's like these ants that at one point in my yard decided they were going to build a colony, an anthill in my yard. And so day after day, they would do whatever hard work ants at the end of the week, they'd have this anthill there, my yard, this big anthill. But what did I do week after week? I'd come through with the riding mower, right? And I'd just chop right over that thing, and the things would go flying, and there'd be no anthill there. So, week after week, they'd be doing stuff, and it got to the point where, it just didn't mean anything. And they must have realized that because they stopped trying to build that anthill in my yard. They realized, hey, their work is just being destroyed. It doesn't get them anywhere. It doesn't count. I was talking to Mike yesterday about his granddaughter Alexandria, and many of you know her, and he was telling me about how when they were at the beach, she loved, playing in the sand and building things up in the sand, but she wasn't doing it up in the dry sand. She was, at the ocean, and she was down where the water comes, where the sand's nice and wet, right? What happens when you build stuff in that sand, when the waves come in? It just washes away. It doesn't amount to anything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't count. And that's like us. We're those ants. We're those people building those sand castles. When we're out there trying to reach God by doing all the right work, we're going to be circumcised or uncircumcised. I don't know what that means, but we're going to do it. And that's what we're trying to do. We're like those people. It doesn't matter. Our work doesn't mean anything. It doesn't get us anywhere because it doesn't count. That's what Paul is saying here. He says that doesn't count. So what does count? He says right there, what counts is the new creation. Well, great. What's the new creation? Because if the new creation is what counts, that's what I want in my life. What is it? We are the new creation, ladies and gentlemen. That's us. When we recognize, hey, we are not the boss in this world, but God is. We recognize that, hey, I've rebelled against God because I thought I was the boss, but I'm not. And when we come to Jesus for the forgiveness for that rebellion, that sin, and for eternal life and for salvation, when we make that our path, we are made into a new creation. Larry, if you want to put us to what Paul says there in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7, he says, if anyone is in Christ, meaning anyone's put their faith in Jesus Christ, anyone who's come to God through Jesus Christ, he is a new creation. Look, there it is. The old has gone, the new has come. You see, that's great. Because when we come to God through His Son, Jesus, He recreates us into the image of His Son. And in the multiplied groups that we've been having, our discipleship groups, we've been talking about how we were originally created in the image of God, and sin took that and it marred that, and so we no longer reflect God to the world the way we should. When we come to Jesus Christ, we are recreated into that new image, that new creation. See, so that's what counts, being created in the image of Jesus Christ. All that stuff that we try to tell ourselves we need to do, or other people tell us we need to do, it doesn't count at all if we are not first recreated. We are not first becoming that new creation by faith in Jesus Christ. But here's the thing we need to pay attention to. Once we have received salvation, once we have become that new creation, then all that other stuff that we do in life, it does count. It counts now. That stuff that didn't count before, it counts for something. It counts not towards salvation, not towards acceptance by God, because as new creations in Jesus Christ, we have that. But it counts toward us now living the life and growing as that new creation. When Paul says what counts as the new creation, what counts as the new creation is us growing as that new creation. The things we do to grow as that new creation, that's what makes life count. It counts toward us living out the life to bring pleasure to our great God, who loved us so much that He gave His Son Jesus Christ to die. What counts is us living as that new creation, living to please and glorify God in how we live. And this is important to understand. It's an important point because, if we don't understand this part of what the Scriptures and the Gospel says, then some things that are taught elsewhere can kind of seem confusing. Even some of the things Jesus said. We see Jesus saying, whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross daily and follow me. Oh, so you got to deny yourself and pick up your cross to follow Jesus. That's like taking a death sentence on yourself is what he's saying there. And he also says, any one of you who does not renounce all that he has cannot be my disciple. Okay, so to please Jesus, I have to give away everything I own. I've got to renounce everything I own, right? And we think, okay, gaining God's acceptance means suffering for, I guess, religion in such a way and giving up everything. And we start thinking, hey, being a disciple of Jesus and following life, it's all about earning God's acceptance, right? Because we look at what Jesus says. And we start sacrificing sacrificing things for the sake of religion. We sacrifice our Sunday mornings. We can sleep in or be elsewhere, but we come to church every week and we sacrifice to give to the church, keep it running, or to give to missions. We sacrifice time so that we can help other people, or we can go on mission trips, or we sacrifice so that we can do things so we're living in such a way that people say is good, right? And we think, okay, now God is pleased with me. Except he's not. Because none of that stuff matters. It's waste, it's useless. We are wasting our time doing all that stuff unless, don't miss this part, unless we are first a new creation in Jesus Christ. It doesn't count unless we have first received salvation from God through his Son. And then after that, only after that, but after that, all that stuff, that's what life's all about. It becomes everything. It becomes our life. All those good things, because our lives are now about pleasing God. What counts is living as that new creation. When we live lives as that new creation, we bear fruit. We are honoring God. Everything in our life matters. We want to know, hey, does my life count? When we're doing things to glorify God and to grow as that new creation, everything matters. We're living lives that count. They mean something. Larry, go ahead and push us forward again there. We come back to this. What counts is the new creation. That's what God says about your life counting. My life counts. That's what God says. Now there's no end to people. The number of people who in this world will have a different idea. And they'll tell you, hey, this is what you have to be. This is what you have to do. This is how you have to live for your life to count. Your culture is full of messages telling us, you got to do it this to matter. And you have to live like this to count. And if you really want to mean something, then you must be like this, right? It's all through our culture, these messages. We get them everywhere. We get them from people who love us, from well-meaning people, from our parents, from our grandparents, from our kids, our grandkids, our friends. You know, we get them from our neighbors, people we run into on the street we haven't seen since we were kids. They have expectations and messages they put out there. You got to do and live like this way if you want your life to count, right? And we even get them from sometimes religious people who mean well, but they don't understand it's more about relationship with Jesus Christ than it is about just following rules. So they come in and they tell you, hey, you know what? If you want to go to church, you have to wear this specific type of clothing. You got to, we've heard of these different sects of people say you have to wear this and this and this, or you can't represent Jesus Christ, or they come and they say, well, you know what, you have to, give up. You can't watch this specific TV show, or you can't do this specific activity ever. Everything else is all right to them. They don't get it, right? There's this pressure, right? If you want to be doing things the right way, then you've got to do them the right way so that your life means something. And culture tells us this. But hear this. We are set free from that by Jesus Christ. See, if you've been with us, you've been able to be with us throughout the summer of Galatians, that's the main point of the book of Galatians. It's freedom we are given in Jesus Christ. So now, as people, we're set free from Jesus Christ. We now take all these messages, all these pressures that are put on us by everybody else, and we get to decide. We get freedom. And we decide whether doing certain things or acting in certain ways, if that's going to help us grow into the image of this new creation God has made us to be. So we say, oh, this is going to help me live as that new creation God has made me, so I'm going to do it, or I'm going to take it, or I'm not going to do it because it's not going to help me. And if it's not going to help us, we just throw it away. All those pressures, all those rules, all those expectations, we just let them go. Because they don't mean anything. They don't count. It's like circumcision and uncircumcision. They don't mean anything. God says, what counts is the new creation. And I love it. I love it because it's a testimony of how much God loves us. It's a testimony of the freedom God has given us because He loves us. God says, what counts now is who and what I made you into when you came to me by faith through my Son, Jesus Christ. Who you were, that doesn't count. What counts now, God says, is who He made you to be. And this is a true song of freedom, ladies and gentlemen. We talk about songs of freedom. this is it. Just think about all the things in your life that people have told you mattered that don't have to matter anymore. Right? And you think about your family background. It might be pretty messy. You might be the one who made the mess. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Rich, poor, doesn't count. Pretty good versus already has a record with the police. Doesn't matter to anything. Think about all the ways you mess up before coming to Jesus. They don't mean a thing. You may have to face consequences for them on earth, but God's there saying, hey, you're free, you are my child. It doesn't matter. You're set free to live as that new creation. That's what counts. So go live it. That's why I said, go live as that new creation. You see, some of us have nasty things in our backgrounds, don't they? Who wants to share something nasty? No, anyone? Okay, all right. We won't do that. But we just can't let go of them, right? We just can't get past them. And so our lives are lived in constant guilt and constant shame. And we're afraid to embrace life as this new creation that God made us to. Because we can't do it. And as I thought about it this week, it reminded me of Julia Roberts in the movie Pretty Woman. Way back when. I can't believe that movie's that old. But have you seen this movie? Many of us have. My Aunt Dixie used to watch it every day of her life. She could probably quote it forwards and backwards to you. So if you don't know about it, you don't know about it, ask her. But in the movie, Julia Roberts, she plays a prostitute who was hired by a rich man to be his companion for the week. And their first morning together, he gets up and he says, hey, listen, around my rich friends, you can't wear all your prostitute clothes all week, so I want you to go get some new clothes. And he gives her some money. And so she goes, she's got all this money, and so she goes to Rodeo Drive in Hollywood and LA, and she goes into all the rich lady shops, and no one ever help her, no one ever sell anything to her. They won't even speak to her other than say, hey, no, please, you need to leave. Because all they see is the prostitute. And so often, I think that's us and how we live. All we can see is the prostitute, or whatever we were, before we came to faith in Jesus Christ. So we continue to live in the shame. We continue to live in the negative patterns of life. Because that's all we see in ourselves. That's all other people see. Or at least that's what we think. But God says, what counts is the new creation. God has set you free from your past. Your past doesn't owe you. Not if you're a follower of Jesus Christ. You were set free from it. Don't let your past fool you. Because God has set you free. So that you can go forth and live as that new creation. Glorify and magnify God in your life. And that's what you're set free to do. That's the greatest purpose in all of life. Listen. You want your life to count. You want it to mean something. You know what to do. You go live fully as God's new creation. You live fully in your life for God. That's the message to the Galatians. That's the message to us today, and it's a message of freedom. That's what I want you to do as you go forth in this place today. Now I realize that there may be some sitting here today who are desiring to live that life that counts, but you can't. Because you have not yet come to a place where you are that new creation. Maybe you're new to this whole church thing. Maybe you've sat in the church for many years and you just haven't gotten it. But you're still living in that place where nothing matters. You don't count, where nothing counts because you have not found God's acceptance. But that comes first. You have not received salvation. So whatever you do, it doesn't mean anything. Just like those ants. Just like building those sandcastles on the beach. I say to you today, you're a sinner. And that's offensive for people to hear, but we're all sinners. I'm a sinner. We all start there. You want your life to start counting? Admit your sin. Admit your rebellion to God. And look to Jesus Christ, who died on the cross to pay for your sin. And then rose 3 days later to prove that his sacrifice was enough. Come to God through Jesus Christ, fully trusting in him alone to save you, bringing you to acceptance. And when you put your faith in Jesus like that, you are saved. You have entered into God's acceptance, and you are now being made into a new creation. You are now free to live as that new creation. That's a life that counts. That means something. So if you haven't before, won't you come into the grace of Jesus Christ today? Let's take a moment to pray, everyone. If you could bow your heads with me, please. forgiveness of his grace. Won't you pray silently with me as I pray for all of you in this time? Heavenly Father, I have sinned against you. I want forgiveness of all my sins. I believe Jesus died on the cross for me and